these are just how kind of the different states look at them. And we'll come back to that in a second. But just to give you an example, part of the reason we're bringing this up today, and it's been an issue, is because recently there's been conservative push to get rid of what's called no-fault divorce. Okay? And that's what we're going to focus on, because no-fault divorce is important to understand. So let me give you a real quick history lesson. Early in this country's beginning, it was mostly common law kind of stuff, but ideally with divorce back then, in most places, you could only get divorced if the husband wanted to get divorced. And even then, they might not let him get divorced unless he had a really good reason. So if Lacey and I were married, Lacey could want to leave and she doesn't have a choice. She's got to stay. She's basically property at that point. Right.
Or at least legally I have to stay. Whether I walk out the door or not, who knows? But legally I would be stuck
but
in
legally
marriage.
I could drag you back and force you to stay back in those days, right? Now, then it came all along, and then for a while there, they moved to these different kind of concepts of mutual consent, which means both of us would have to agree to a divorce, which is really kind of stupid because what if one of us doesn't want to get divorced? What if one of us is abusive or wants to hurt the other person or cause problems? Then Lacey could leave, but she could never really get divorced, which means she can't get remarried, or so she's always going to be technically tied until I agree, right? Unless she can come up with a reason. So then they came up with this thing called fault divorce. And then fault divorce, the concept was this: Lacey's like, well, he's abusive or whatever, blah, blah, blah. And the court would then make a decision. But those took years and thousands of dollars in attorney costs, right? So it was really difficult.
Well, and then there's having to prove the thing that the other person did. Even if they really legitimately were doing whatever the thing is you were accusing them of, proving it may or may not necessarily be super easy.
Right.
You know?
Well, because for all I know, my neighbors could be doing all kinds of criminal shit, but I'm not over there. So it's if they start accusing each other, it's their word against their word. I mean, it's a tough case to try. So those were really difficult. So then they came up with this thing called no-fault divorce. And basically on a no-fault divorce, like I know in Oregon, and I'm pretty sure in New York and whatnot, you get the form for divorce, right? And then they ask you why you're filing for divorce. There's a box that says irreconcilable differences. You just check that little box. That's the only reason you need to grant the divorce. Then it's just a matter of getting it all finalized.
And really, that either person could do that and say, we have differences that just are not going to be able to be resolved. Sorry, I need out of this.
You don't even maybe it's not even that you have differences. Maybe you're just bored. I mean, you could, any reason.
That can be an irreconcilable difference.
Right. Right. But that's the point is you don't have to have a reason. You could I just want to get divorced.
You know, as not nice as this may be, quite frankly, I don't know that a person needs a reason to not want to be in a relationship anymore. You can just simply not want to be in it. Right. And that's really rough for the other person to hear. But if you don't want to be in it, you don't want to be in it. If they don't want to be in it, they don't want to be in it. And that could be really horrible for you to hear, you know?
Yeah. But that's the thing. So that, that thing became, a big deal. And now it's a situation where every state in the United States allows no-fault divorce. Some states will allow for, let's see, what is it? Here we go. Let me do this. I'll show you the map again. So this is no fault added to traditional. So the blue states here are all no fault divorce only, right? The green states are no fault divorce, plus they have a fault divorce. So you can get traditional fault divorce at fault if you want to, which might be something you'd want to do if you want to get more money out of the other person. Because if you could show that they're at fault for the divorce, they're going to get more
This
in
person was
alimony,
abusive, or this person
more likely to
was-
get custody of the children, all that
Sure.
stuff. Yeah. Now, you're more likely to if there's an at-fault reason in a no-fault state to get custody and all that, but it's not going to affect alimony and stuff that much.
Sure.
It's just a no-fault, you're out, right? So going through all that, the Republicans, there's a big push now to try to get rid of the no-fault thing, and a lot of it is that they just don't want. A lot of it was no-fault was initially so women could get out of bad marriages. Now it's just, in general, it's just anybody who wants to get out of a marriage, right? But they want to get rid of it because they don't like the idea that women can just leave their husbands. So there's a push now. So like after Roe v. Wade, and they were talking about this, they wanted to get rid of Loving v. Texas, which allows interracial marriage. They want to get rid of that. So you can no longer marry somebody outside your race. Yeah. They want to get rid of gay marriage, which was 2015. Right? So that's less than 8 years old. They want to get rid of that. So no more same-sex marriage. And they want to get rid of no-fault divorce and go back to more of either a mutual or paternal system where it's impossible to get a divorce if you're in an abusive relationship. So that's what they're pushing for now. So once again, it goes back to the other thing with abortion, where it's like they really want women to be boxed in. To like, you get married and you're stuck. You know? If you get
pregnant, you're having the baby. If you get married, you're stuck with the person. And by the way, you can only marry a certain type of person.
Right. So here's this
guy. The person
guy.
has to be of the opposite sex, and it has to be somebody of your race, and right?
So here's this guy, Steven Crowder. If you don't know who he is a real scumbag. So he's a right-wing talk show host, super racist, super misogynistic, very much into the, women are chattel and property, right? And his wife is leaving him. And he gave a big speech about it. He kind of talked down no-fault divorce because he doesn't believe she should be able to leave him. But then this surfaced where he was actually being kind of verbally abusive to his wife, kind of. You'll watch, it is. But we're going to watch that real quick. And hang on. So we're going to watch him. So this is a clip. This is Francesca Fiorentini, and she's doing a little story on this.
Steven Crowder, who seems to be as toxic as he is publicly in private, with people like his wife, with people like his pregnant wife. Disturbing video was obtained by journalist Yashar Ali, and it reveals that the commentator Steven Crowder is berating his wife, and this apparently is one instance of what we later found out was many. In this one clip, it's from June of 2021, and his wife Hillary is 8 months pregnant. This is after a week where Steven Crowder announced that he and his wife were getting a divorce, and weirdly asking why that was legal in Texas and why you could just do that. So anyway, we'll put that aside. But then we all got hit with this little slice, so take a look.
I drew a boundary. No, you just did it. I drew a boundary of abusive and cruel. You were not taking the car. No. Because if you refuse to do wifely things, then I will go pick up the groceries. There's no groceries. I have steaks. What pellets? My grill. I know it's not a reasonable request, but I'll go do it. How about you first? Hillary, how do you respect me? Yes. Other than that, you see love. No. Other than that, no, you're not taking the car. You're not taking the car. You are not.
Then I will ask them to pick me up. Would you like me to ask?
Oh, that's right.
It's not about Steven.
Get an Uber.
Okay, Steven, I can't.
You want to walk out right now? Listen to me. I can't go to the gym. I can't go to my parents. I can't call my friends. I can't be home. You're going to take the car and leave me here. Hillary, just think of how boxing you've made me.
What do you need me to pick up? I'll get it. I'll be back when I'm back.
No, that doesn't work either. You'll be back when you're back. That doesn't work either.
So there it is. Man of your dreams.
Wow.
And then later he threatened to fuck her up. So he threatened physical violence against her later in that, which he admitted to.
I mean, that sounds like so many types of abuse rolled into one, and
it's verbal
I
abuse.
feel like verbal abuse for sure, but I feel like I was also kind of hearing what sounded like financial abuse too. It seems like it was alluded to that. I'm assuming she didn't have maybe her own money or somehow didn't have the ability to get an Uber like that.
She's a housewife.
Was I misunderstanding?
Well, she's a housewife, so he makes all the money. So the whole story went down like this. So apparently he went and talked to a divorce lawyer, and then he told his assistant to cut her off financially. This is while she's pregnant, about to have birth. Then she found out about that, and so she filed for divorce. She went and got a lawyer and filed right away. What was it? While all this is going on, he went and had like chest implants to make himself look more muscular, kind of thing. And because of that, he missed the birth of his twins because he wanted to go with elective surgery. And then he moved out. And so now I'm going to tell you this right now. If you're getting separated, divorced or whatever, and you move out and leave the kids with the other person, they're going to get them in the custody arrangement. You're basically forgoing that because you walked out on them. So just so you're aware that if you're a parent, that's just how that goes. But we can look at this real quick because he lives in Texas. So let's look at Texas. What is Stephen looking at here? Well, let's go to alimony, right? So custodial status considered. Yep. So she's probably going to get the kids. So she's definitely going to get alimony. And because he's the one that, let's do this. So what did I do? Hang on. Marital fault is considered in Texas, so she's going to sue him as an at-fault divorce, right? So she can get more money out of that. And her standard of living, look at the house she was living in, they're going to consider that, so she's going to get to live pretty much close to her standard of living. And because we talked about that before, Texas is a community property state, she's going to be entitled to almost half the assets. So he's going to get raked in this divorce. Plus, she's probably going to get primary custody of the kids, if not full custody, depending on those videos, because if they determine him to be verbally abusive, they're going to want him to right. Well, you can see the kids, but you got to see him with a social worker for the first year before we let you.
Right. They might want to put some parameters on that because while they didn't see him doing physical things, they definitely heard enough verbal abuse to where I'm sure they're going to be like, can these kids really be with him alone? And for how long? That could become really a question.
Yeah. So that's the big thing. But that was like his whole thing. Like Francesca pointed out, his whole deal was, I don't know why she's even allowed to get divorced in Texas. Well, that's because they don't want no fault, because she can just no fault and walk away. In this case, she can do an at fault. She still doesn't have to have a reason to get divorced, but the at fault, she can then blame him for more and say, I want more money and alimony and whatnot for compensatory damages. Right. Being in that relationship. So there's all that going on. So just to give you a sense of kind of why you have to factor all these things in. So like if Steven Crowder was my client, which wouldn't happen, I'd tell him to fuck out of my office, right? I wouldn't want to work for that guy, but let's say hypothetically was, that's what I'd be talking to him about. I'd be sitting there going, well, Steven, you're in a community property state. Half the assets are probably going to go to her. And since she married you before you were rich and famous, a lot of that was acquired during the marriage. So you're going to have to look at that issue. Plus, she's probably going to get most of the custody of the kids. So you're going to be paying child support based on your income, and you're going to be paying alimony based on your income. So you're looking at about your net worth falling by about half at least. Plus, you're going to be paying out even more every month. So your income coming in now is going to be even reduced quite a bit. So now we have to talk about how you're going to function going forward. Now, he makes millions, so it's not going to really affect him in that heightened sense, but it's going to be a lot of money.
Right. Well, since he has so much money, I'm sure his lifestyle situation will be fine.
Right.
I'm not even trying to be funny when I say that. It just,
he'll be okay.
If we're if he were in a lower income bracket than what he is, but still like the higher earner, it actually really could be something that would impact somebody in a way that feels pretty shocking. But I mean, for him, he'll be fine.
Mm-hmm. You know, but that's kind of what it is. So from the financial perspective, that's what we're looking at from a no fault at fault divorce. But a no fault is you can get anywhere in the country. Now, though, if we were to rescind that, then now all of a sudden divorce becomes incredibly expensive. So if you're the lower income party, how are you going to afford it? You know, but here it